Hello, this is Mark Hillary, and just a short note before we start this podcast. Paula Kennedy Garcia, who is the guest this week, is giving a preview of her CXO talk. However, she's just recently had to drop out of the conference. So although we are talking about her being a keynote speaker at the event, she has actually had to drop out. Hello and welcome to the CX Files podcast for April 18th, 2024. My name is Mark Hillary and I'm in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
And I'm Peter Ryan in Montreal, but only for a couple of weeks more, Mark, and I will be joining you for CX Outsourcers in Atlanta, May 1 and 2. And it'll be great to catch up with you with lots of longtime friends. Note, I did not say old friends, but longtime friends. And also some new ones who are going to be joining us. And one of the individuals who is going to be there is your guest on the podcast this week, one Ms. Paula Kennedy Garcia.
Yeah, absolutely. Paula's based in Belfast. The focus here was really around looking at digital CX delivery and BPOs that are using digital transformation to change the way that they are delivering, digital CX services, basically, because it's not just around AI, which is what everybody has been focused on for the past year, but there's many other types of digital delivery. Now, I know that you agreed on her talk because essentially what we did here was asked Paula to give us preview of what her talk is going to be at the CXO event. So you asked her, so you must have been discussing the talk with her,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Mark, one of the big concerns that we have been picking up on in our research, and I know that you've been picking up on it too, just in terms of what you've been up to, is the level of worry that consumers have in regards to how they are being serviced by enterprises using digital means. So that could be email, that could be web chat, that could be using a chat bot, instant messaging, anything non-voice. And we actually had this topic encapsulated a few months ago, you'll probably recall, by Neris Corfield when we had her on the CX Files having a chat about what some of these concerns were from a consumer perspective. So we thought that Paula would be an outstanding person to come to CX Outsourcers to have a chat and to talk to the audience, given her tremendous experience and thought leadership in our space about what's going on, where the fails are, where the gaps are, and what outsourcers can do to support their clients in terms of making up for perhaps some inexcusable, in many cases, interactions they've been having using non-voice means. So as I say, Paula has been around our industry for quite some time, has an incredible track record in terms of getting into an organization, turning things around in departments that need to be turned around, and really leaving them at a gold standard. So it's going to be a great talk, and we can't wait to have her.
Okay, excellent. Well, why don't we go straight to this preview of Paula's talk at CXO?
Sounds great.
Hi, Paula. It's great to get you back on CX Files. We are talking because you're one of the keynote speakers at Peter's CXO conference, which is in Atlanta on May the 1st and 2nd. And I know that you're speaking about digital transformation and CX. So maybe just to kick off, could you introduce the subject and some of the areas that you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, really looking forward to Atlanta. The agenda is teeing up to be fantastic. And you're right, I'm going to be speaking in and around CX and the cost of poor digital CX transformation that has happened, and really what that means in terms of customer expectations and the things that we should be mindful of as we move forward doing that in a new era. I think, Mark, this is a really timely discussion for the event, given the very current efforts across organizations to build out those AI strategies for both our own BPOs and then an AI suite for our clients, right? I think we have not, as an industry, been in such a period of imminent change that's impacted this industry in quite a while. And I know you speak about that quite a bit too, Mark. So we're really navigating this whole AI space with, I guess, equal measures of concern as well as innovative thinking. So there's a lot to be contemplated as we start to deploy those changes to make sure that the new experiences that we create are great ones and don't fall folly of some of the mistakes we've had before.
Okay, that's great. Where do you think that the drivers for this kind of demand for change are coming from then? I mean, is it really customer expectations that are saying, I've got ChatGPT on my phone. I can see how good a chatbot can really be. Why can I not do this with my phone company, for example, then? Or is it, companies comparing each other then, or something like that?
I think it's a game of two halves. I think if I look at it from an enterprise perspective, I mean, we are mostly fundamentally a creative industry, and we're powered by great innovation. And how we innovate individually and as organizations determines our differentiation and our competitive advantage. So it's inevitable when something as big and impacting as AI comes along, there's a little bit of a race to see how involved we can be with that and who can lead the way. But more importantly, are we doing the right thing for customers? So AI is almost like the new medium of digital transformation. And there's that sense of urgency building, almost to be seen to be an expert, to be seen to have everything in place for the customer needs. And I think that's where we do need to take a little bit of a pause and have a balanced approach so that we do it well. But it's not an isolation to customer expectations. Well, my personal opinion is I don't think that customer expectations come from the fact that they have tools and there's new tech that they can also play with. I think generally this has been building over time, and it's almost like needs have just increased, almost like hidden in plain sight. And it's stemmed from the growth of social media. It's stemmed from the growth of omni-channel. It's stemmed just generally, we live in an era of convenience where thing is available on demand, and so customers, including ourselves, you and I, we want to have things answered quickly. Time is the new asset that's so precious. So I think those two things coming together creates this need for brands in general, be that from a BPO industry or from a captive environment, for brands in general to be delivering something faster, better, but accurate to the customer to drive resolution.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And you mentioned right at the beginning there around the cost of the digital CX. Do you think that, I mean, we've talked on the podcast before about how the pricing for customer service might be changing in future, because I think traditionally we've always focused on the agent as the main kind of unit of cost. But once you start putting self-service and AI and pricing the technology into the customer journey, it seems a lot more complex. I mean, have you heard people talking about how we're possibly going to change the pricing models in future?
It is way more complex. You're right. I mean, up until now, it has been about the agent. And so we defaulted to labor arbitrage as a means of where we got cost out of the model predominantly. Efficiency still play a role, right? But it was very much a shoring strategy. And tech arbitrage now becomes that new currency for driving efficiencies. But how do we price that at all? And I think there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of queries. I'm sure there are models being run by many organizations who may have taken a faster front foot on this as well. But it isn't embedded. It's certainly not established as what that new pricing mechanism is. And as an industry, we have been talking for a number of years about big transformational deals and TCO pricing and outcome-based pricing. And to a degree, it still exists a lot on paper as opposed to a lot in practice. There is more than one component of that. You've got pricing model work and this perfection, this nirvana of conditions surrounding it so that no one is in a disadvantaged position commercially. You also have to have client and procurement side being able to purchase in that way. So it's a pathway to a different way that we will contract and price and do business as an industry. But I think our hands are being forced more now because it is tech-led. There's a new way of engaging with customers. And I think any savvy BPO certainly is innovating to be a combination of technology and people. The human is still very important, but there is, an awareness that the needs of humans may be lesser, will be different. And so you've got to adapt with that, and pricing and commercials become a very big part of it.
Okay. And normally when we talk about investment in innovation, I guess the focus is the technology or the software that we're purchasing. But I know that you've said that it goes beyond just the technology alone. When we're looking at innovation in CX, it's not just about buying an AI system or buying a better kind of contact center optimization system. So how are we going to improve the channels that we're using in future then?
I do. I fundamentally agree that it has to go deeper than that. I mean, I love the industry that I work in because I've just always had that curiosity to be able to connect the dots between what customers really need and the art of the possible of new technology, and sometimes creating solutions that just didn't naturally appear as something that would be in our space. So that's the fun side of it. But to do that, you have to have a very different mindset. You've got to be thinking solutions all of the time. You need to really, really understand your customer inside out. And sometimes in traditional operating models, those are jobs that are done by a different set of people. You've got a transformation team, you have a technical team, you have a salesperson, then you have an operational delivery team. So everyone has their own scope of work. But I think as we move forward into what is a very intertwined conversation about fast-moving technology and the combination, that symbiosis between the human and technology, everyone across that value chain has to be articulate enough without having to worry about being a technical expert, but articulate enough to have a conversation which is constantly about the customer journey. So these consultative skills, consultatively speaking with your client to build trust with them, consultatively selling, then creating and building solutions that are really understanding the customer experience. The people who are closest to that are BPO. We're really close to what customers do and need, right? So now we have multiple teams who, if they have this enhanced skill set, can be part of that solution creation. So I think almost for me, when we talk about this urgency behind AI, I fundamentally believe that there should be more of a focus on reskilling people who hold those roles and helping them all have a better, more approach to having some of those consulting skills that I don't think we're in a world that we can hand that over to a separate team any longer. And Mark, if you think about it, technology solutions, customer experience, maybe customer experience fails on multiple levels. It can have technical design failures. That's where it goes wrong. It can also have human failure by the agent or the consumer because people don't do what you think they should do with a wonderful new piece of technology. And then a kind of enterprise failure where change for change's sake, and we run off and do things because we think we have to be first. So there's lots of different areas where things can go wrong. The more people we have understanding the why and putting that customer or the agent at the heart of what we now design the technology around, it will be really, really important.
Okay, excellent. Well, your focus is digital transformation at the CXO event. Is there anything else? I mean, just as we wrap up, is there anything else that you're looking forward to at the event? Anything else, or anyone that you're looking forward to meeting, or any subjects that you're really looking forward to hearing about?
So I think, the great thing that Peter and the team do with this event always, it is such a mixed agenda and it caters for everyone. It caters for everyone from a global perspective. And so we get all of these new angles as to, from a regional area, what is driving shoring strategies and how is technology and legislation playing there versus maybe in the UK or the US. So you get a really nice blend of best practices. But I think inevitably, AI and generative AI is going to interweave through an awful lot of what we talk about this time around. And that will include the agent experience and training and well-being and everything. And I think our industry is in a very exciting place right now. So I'm looking forward to how all of that will kind of come together.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you over there.
Good to meet you again. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. We really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. You can reach myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan via LinkedIn. Please also leave a rating or review on your favourite podcast provider, as that helps more people to find us. As always, we'd like to thank Chris Haig at Traction Media for the CX Files graphics. See you next week.